Hello, everyone, and welcome to this exciting episode of Decentralized podcast series. Today, we are diving deep into how DEPIN and AI are shaping the future of smart cities and societies. I'm your friendly host, Shubha, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with you all. Before we jump into the questions, let me introduce our fantastic panelist. We have Fuad Dahan, founder of Blockmesh, who's pioneering the field of DEPIN, along with Yuvang Soni, who is the head of growth and partnerships at Zeep. Welcome, everyone. So, to kick things off, let's start with the basics. I mean, most of us have heard of the term DEPIN, but what exactly is DEPIN and how it differs from the traditional centralized infrastructure models we are familiar with? I think Ohad will explain it in a very basic and introductory manner. Ohad, over to you.
I'll try to get like a very simple example. Most infrastructure we know is owned and operated by big companies or government. Let's take, for example, cellular networks, right? We have AT&T, Verizon, and they decide where the coverage is, what policies there are, and so on. In DeepInc, that's not the case. Users can basically they operate the network. They can decide to increase coverage in places that they're either the high demand and they want to get in on the action and make revenue there, or that they see value in them. For example, areas that big companies won't even go to because it's not profitable enough, but someone that wants that coverage in their community, they will come and put in a node to get that coverage that they need from the service for the local community. So the difference is mainly the ownership, the decision making. It's not, one big centralized company that only cares about their bottom line, but it's actually decentralized, and people really kind of can decide like what they want. And it can be for profit. That's a perfectly good reason. It can be to facilitate, services that are needed in places that big companies just don't see enough value to go there. And it can be in policies. Like we have seen, all of these big tech doing censorship during the last couple of years and so on. And when you distribute the ownership, those issues kind of go away. So that's kind of deep in the too long didn't example.
So, very well explained and, in a very basic manner as well. So I hope the audience, would understood what actually DEPIN is and how it stands apart from the traditional and centralized system. I mean, giving all the powers to one person would always bring down the whole system. So, decentralization is very much important. So, but, as we know that with every tech sounds very powerful and very cool and exciting. But the real challenge is in their integration with what technology and solutions you already have in place. So, how do you see DEPIN and AI seamlessly integrated into the existing urban infrastructure? I mean, how we would be able to utilize the legacy systems that already are running in place?
Sure, definitely. So there are so many different kind of examples which can be used here in terms of how DEPIN can be utilized. The mainly which is actually the power and the electronic plants, right? Those systems, they need not to have any kind of flaws, right? Everything should be perfect. There is no space or there's no room for any kind of errors and any kind of situations there. Right? One is that, and even with DEPIN, we can share the network bandwidth, we can share the Wi-Fi, we can share anything whichever we have or whichever requires any kind of physical infrastructures, right? So let's say for just an example, let's take a simple example of, let's say, Uber, right? When we try to order a cab, so we think that there is that cab or that network is just peer-to-peer, right? We can just order a cab and the driver will come, right? But it is not like that. There's a person that's a pair, then there's a big tech company which is Uber, and then there's another pair which is a driver and the car, right? So by including DEPIN in our solution, by including this kind of tech in our solution, we can really go very far from that. So the cuts which actually are getting these companies even more bigger, with the cuts which are actually benefiting those companies and benefiting their own for their own bandwidth and for their own advantages, right? That can be sorted, and those pieces can be actually utilized to do even better things, right? Let's say, for example, if we want to use a cab which costs us around $5 to $10, right? It could be even possible and feasible for the driver to take us from one point to the another in, let's say, $4. So that $4 particular should go directly to the driver, right? Not to the cab. That is where the point is coming in. That is where we are actually defining that there is a centralized point, which is Uber, which is an entity that can be replaced through a DEPIN solution, and by having these kind of means in between. So if there is I'm assuming that there will be transportation applications in future who will be running on blockchain specifically, and utilizing their own DEPIN network, and will be creating a direct burst that the driver should be getting paid whatever is an amount is actually deducted. So that's all.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, the big companies taking major chunk of the hard-earned money of the people. So, that's why decentralization started, at the very back with the Bitcoin, with the same thought. So, and as I believe that seamless integration is indeed the success for any technology or anything we do in life. If it is not integrated well with each other, it's not even gonna work. We all have our perception of what the future will be like. So, fast forward a decade, Yuvank, how do you envision DEPIN and AI evolving in the context of smart cities? And what exciting possibilities do you see as these technologies become more and more mature?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of my imagination, I go really beyond that. So I just imagine directly the movies which are there, right? Which are actually in existence, and we can just see them on videos, right? That's how I'm trying to actually envision the future. Let's say, for example, if you want to make a coffee, right? So whenever we try to wake up, whenever we want to have a lunch, right? So those all systems actually can be decentralized, right? One of the good example which has been recently done is with Peak, right? Peak is a layer 1 blockchain for DEPIN specifically, and they're doing this. They're actually utilizing blockchain with systems, with these kind of physical systems, and they're actually running out very efficient manners, right? So let's say, for an example, let's say for I just want a coffee, I just woke up, I can just ask my AI assistant that just give me a good coffee, which the taste in that taste which I like, in that same brew which I wanted, in the same quantities and substances which I really wanted in that coffee, right? That should be able to make, right? So these kind of actually changes which I'm actually trying to see maybe even more if we go beyond. So there will be machines which are connected. There will be network which is actually interconnected. There will be different things which will be definitely interconnected, will communicating by themselves to provide us as humans a better life, right? As a better living, and even creating even more smarter cities, right? So let's say, for example, if we want to go to a metro, right? And I don't have any kind of metro points, but I should be having that network connectivity, which will definitely deduct the same amount which I have to be giving to the metro just throughout of my easy wallet, right? Whatever is my wallet is, whatever my accounts and my money or whichever token I am owning, they should be deducted from there directly without any kind of discrepancies. There should be a definite bridge on the top of it, one like Dojima, right? So yeah, that's what I'm actually envisioning.
So yeah, as you mentioned, the last point was really good, that the seamless way, so that I'm walking and I just put out my phone and just scanned, and I could walk into the metro without any hassle. So that is what actually blockchain and all the decentralized tech should evolve into, because that is what will bring people to closer and actually close to decentralization. So the future you told was really promising as it sound, and it could be even better. I am a very optimistic person, so I'm really optimistic about that. So but DEPIN and AI, as they will evolve, they will undoubtedly bring significant changes. But we all know that with great power comes great responsibility. A very famous personality said that. So what social and economic changes might we see as a result, when they mature and become our everyday life thing? So, what changes do you see in the economic things? And will there be challenges alongside the benefits in, adopting them and using them?
Yeah. So I think that the major social aspects of it, one, it's inclusivity, right? So now anyone can basically decide what to operate and where to operate it, allowing much better coverage wherever it's needed, right? There's also an aspect of micro entrepreneurship because everybody can participate in network, can have like a side hustle, can grow that, can monetize the resource. So that's economic growth. Independence, right? You don't rely on a specific entity, government, or some big company to give you this infrastructure, right? You can just go there and do it yourself, and you don't need them in your community. If it's some remote place, or even just even in a very dense area, it doesn't matter. You don't necessarily want to be relying on one specific entity. And I think also in competition, because even in highly dense areas, bringing more actors into let's say New York, right, one of the crowded places in the world, but bringing more actors into the market, it's only better, right? So they will compete on better better services to the user, better quality, better prices. So basically, there's a lot of good things that you can bring on. That's it.
Yeah, Fuad, that was very good points to consider and for the audience as well to think and ponder upon. So, as the proverb goes, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And as a result, innovation thrives only on the real world applications. Without real world applications, any innovation cannot thrive and grow, because without real world applications, innovation is like a stale shop which sells the best bread in the world, but nobody goes there, so it is of no use. So Yuva, can you share any case studies of projects where DePIN and AI have already had a transformative impact on a city or a community?
Yeah, sure, definitely. There are so many things which has already been done and actually are in working right now. So one of the really good project which is actually being built out in the peak system is eLoop. If you guys know about it, it's a really interesting one. Okay, so what they're doing is they have partnered with Tesla directly, and what they want to do is they just are buying different kind of cars from Tesla directly, and they're buying it on stakes. So that, for example, if the person is going to buy a car, there is a group of person who is owning that particular car, not just one person. Okay, so in a way, the car, once it is bought, once it has actually been utilized, it will generate some kind of revenue. That revenue will be actually again gone into the investment, to the investors who have actually bought that particular car from Tesla. One of them is that. Second one, let's say for example, we tend to share our Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere, right? But what we don't get any kind of rewards on the top of it. There is a project, I don't remember specifically what is the name of that, but there's a project who will be actually rewarding you while you will be sharing your hotspot with anyone you want. Okay, so even this is how the narrative of DePIN is actually, right? We have the infrastructure which someone might need, and we can just share it with them and get rewarded on the basis of it. That's what DePIN is really sensible about them, right? There are other projects like Natix is even one in the same ecosystem. They are actually mapping. They're actually camera mapping network. They just go around the city. You just have to install their camera, and whenever there is any kind of accidents there, whenever there's any kind of stops, whenever there's even any kind of police station, or maybe some police cars who will be seeing or watching your speed, or maybe who might be trying to cut your challans and everything, right? They will be there, and everything will be updated on the network, and people will be obviously getting benefited through that. Maybe, let's say for example, not in terms of directly bypassing the policies, but even in terms of, let's say for example, if there is a huge traffic in an area, or maybe if there is an accident in an area, right? That can be benefited, and that data can be used by someone else to get to a different place even faster, right? So these kind of things are actually in existence right now, and they are actually getting developed. And there are so many projects which even Bosch is working on, which is a big name in terms of when we talk about sensors or any kind of mechanisms in hardware industry, right? One of them is that. Airbus is that, right? Sony is actually building so many cool things on top of DEPIN. There are Audi, there are BMWs, and there are different kind of even cars like Jaguars and Tesla companies. So we're trying to build something in a same space. Even let's say, for example, in terms of power pods, there are companies who are actually building power pods so that their electrical vehicles can get charged, right? And those solutions can be also developed using DEPIN solutions. Sorry. So that's how there are so many things actually incoming right now. We're really excited for that, sir.
Cool. The hotspot example you gave, that was really interesting. In India, people would die for some project like that. You're looking at the current infrastructure we have for the net and hotspot thing. So yeah, that is very cool and interesting. And these kind of projects will only bring adoption and awareness. Like you are sharing your hotspot. Why don't you try that project? You are driving an electric vehicle. Why don't you try that project? You want to be safe from the police. When you didn't do anything wrong. Why don't you try that project that records everything and updates real time? So you or any other can't blame anyone because it's on the network at the very same time. So all these projects really make a difference to how DEPIN and AI will actually be implemented. So, but as we all know that every promising technology needs public trust and understanding to flourish. Even when blockchain started with the advent of Bitcoin, it took so many years to get the public trust and belief. Now we see that it reached so much awareness and heights, but in the initial stages we need the public trust and understanding. So what do you think that public awareness and education play in the successful adoption of DEPIN and AI? And how can we bridge the gap and ensure that these technologies get better and better by time?
Sure. So I think education is critical. First, DEPIN is obviously associated with crypto, and the everyday person still sees crypto as this kind of all these scams and so on. And obviously, we need to educate them. There's more than that to crypto. And DEPIN is exactly the best example because these are physical infrastructure. They know when they have cell coverage or not. They know when they have some storage or not. These are like physical things that are familiar with, and making sure that people understand that this is something real, they know of, they can maybe even touch it. They're not, it's more than just virtual trading of assets. This is the one of the critical parts. The second thing I think it's important is self-reliance. These networks allow redundancy. They allow people to actually have control. They allow them to actually be a part of the system and not only be in the subject to whatever changes that they can't have any control over. So that crypto native self-governance and independence, I think it's important. And I think also people need to understand that this is actually a real revenue source. Everybody wants an extra income, right? And if they can see something that actually makes sense for them to participate, they believe it's real, they see it actually brings value as an actual infrastructure, and then they can also earn from it. So when you combine all of this, it's a very, it's a very good value proposition. But people need to just understand that this is the case and not, buy this kind of scam token and whatever, right? This is actually a different type of crypto than what they know of the old years of the wild west.
As rightly said as well, we all came into blockchain and Web3 space as enthusiasts, but we stayed because we get educated. We understood what the real power this space holds. That's why we stayed. Otherwise, we would be like some invested in meme coins, invested in 1 month, we would be gone. But, we stayed because we believed in this tech. So, it is all happened because of the education and awareness we had in this community and technology. So, with that, we wrap up all the questions for today. Thanks for joining on this exploration of DEPIN and AI and the future smart cities and societies. A special thanks to our speakers, Ohad and Yuvang, for taking the time to share their knowledge. So, Ohad, Yuvang, anything you want to add up or say to the audience?
Thank you for having us. It'd be great to see you guys. Follow us on Twitter. Join our network. You can already join the alpha version that we have out. You can already earn points and for the future incentive program that we have, and be part of the movement that we're trying to build.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely can agree on the points Ohad just mentioned. Just be in the ecosystem, try to learn a lot and some different sources. There are so many different kind of knowledge sources available every single way, and you just have to gather them, right? Yeah, that's about it from my end as well. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Charan and Dojima team for having us. It's like every time it's really great to talk to you guys. Yeah. Thank you.
So, as Ohad and Yuvang mentioned, follow Blockmash and Zeev and Dojima Network on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you find us, just follow us, because we as a company not focusing on our growth only, but as a ecosystem and community all together. So, we grow, you grow. So, don't forget to follow us so that you also stay at the forefront of the, this tech revolution and movement. So until next time, keep exploring, innovating and pushing the boundaries of technology. Goodbye for now. Have a great day. Thank you.